Hold on tight, spider monkey.
As if you could outrun me!
It's more than some crush, Bella.
How? I don't even know what you're saying. How?
Well, I hope you enjoy disappointment.
We're recording.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, right now?
Yeah, the intro already played.
We both missed it.
Yeah, damn.
So,
As
Welcome.
if you could outrun me! Okay.
when are you going to drop your mixtape, T. Drizzy?
I mean, you told me not to.
I mean, that's fair, yeah. I don't think anybody really needs that.
Don't worry, I'll go home and make a second sing over a sample tonight.
Oh my gosh. Alright, welcome. Back.
To the final episode.
No.
After this, the podcast is over, so...
The
here's all you
final
can.
episode.
No, it's not.
It isn't, but we're about to finish Twilight today.
Yeah, we are. So, with that being said, welcome back to my Twilight Fantasy podcast.
The final episode.
We need a soundboard.
We have Tyree. What do you mean?
Just pushes.
She's a soundboard we don't have control over.
Someone spilled their smoothie on it. It doesn't work anymore.
That doesn't operate without a smoothie.
So, yeah, Stop.
Can you hear it cracking in there?
Yes.
Here, I'll do it again.
No. Ew, that's gross.
And we just lost 3 subscribers.
Alright.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Twilight.
Yes, today we're reading the Epilogue of Twilight, which is like more than 20 pages long, I think, but
Yeah, it's hella long.
this is the final episode where we're going to be talking about this book, probably. So we want to just talk about the epilogue and, reflect on everything so far and talk about the book as a whole.
Yeah.
I drive back and forth between Columbus, where we record this podcast, and Athens, where I go to school. And sometimes I leave things, sometimes I forget things, and today I don't have my book. But I do have my notes, so hopefully that's good enough. I have the overview this week. Are you ready, guys?
Yeah.
All right. It's super long. I'm sorry. But the chapter is really long and lots of stuff happens. Or the epilogue. So it starts with Edward helping Bella get into his car. And she's wearing a silk and chiffon dress with flowers pinned into her hair, but we don't know where they're going. And Bella doesn't know. But, I mean, as the reader, you could probably guess. And so, the fact that Bella doesn't know where they're going becomes, a big part of this chapter, which is why I say that. So, Bella is kind of angry a little bit, annoyed, maybe in a playful way, but kind of also in a,
I think angry is an understatement for how she reacts.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. And then they kind of banter a little bit, and then it's revealed... They kind of, move back in time at this point, and they talk about how Alice was the one who, got Bella all dressed up, did her hair, did her makeup and stuff, which is, totally not something Bella would do for herself. And, Alice had way too much fun with it. Then Charlie randomly calls Edward, and he says... first, while they talk, Bella reflects on how after the James incident, Charlie has set a lot more rules for her, like curfews and visiting hours with Edward, which is presumably the only person she cares about enough to hang out with.
F. Jessica.
The part of the phone call that Bella can hear reveals that Tyler showed up at Charlie's house to try to take Bella to prom, and that is what finally gets her to be like, oh, that's where we're going, which is kind of hilarious. And then she's, even more mad and, sad. I am a little bit out of order here, but later in the, toward the very end of the chapter, Edward asked Bella where she thought they were going to go, and Bella says that she was hoping that it was going to be some changing ceremony where she was going to become a vampire. But when I was reading this, I got the sense, before I had read the ending, just in the beginning, I had the sense that Bella maybe thought they were going to their surprise wedding.
Oh my god.
Ew.
Yeah, but they're not engaged yet, so. Anyway. Edward asks Bella to humor him, and he says he got special permission from Charlie to do all this. I guess they probably spent the day together while Bella was getting ready, and they're going to be together through the night hours of this dance. And Bella's still pissed. she extremely reluctantly agrees that she will go to prom and, like, dance, but only when Edward promises not to let go of her all night. Bella makes a huge deal about not wanting to dance, but doesn't hate it once Edward finally, like, gets her to start dancing, because even though she's awkward and horrible, he's actually a pretty good dancer. And she almost has fun. And then, just as they're starting to dance, Jacob shows up and asks if he can dance with Bella, and he is just as bad of a dancer as she is, and they have this, like, awkward conversation. You get the sense of their ages being, at this time, a relevant gap, if that makes any sense. Just the way that Jacob talks. He says that, he kind of says that he likes Bella, and that, like, Bella's like, is there anyone here that you're interested in? And he says, yeah, but she's already taken. So there's that moment. And then Jacob says Billy paid him to come to the dance, to pay for a master cylinder to fix his car. This is so much detail, I'm sorry. And that Billy really wants Jacob to tell Bella to break up with Edward, please. And he really thinks that Edward is why she got hurt, because she's still, like, having trouble walking or in, like, a cast or something, like a walking cast. And to warn Bella that, quote-unquote, we will be watching. And then after one dance, Edward steps back in and, like, kind of tells Jacob to go away, and they keep dancing, whatever. At this time, you get the only, like, Bella is glancing across the room and sees Jessica, Mike, Angela, and, like, other people from high school. So, like I said in previous episodes, about halfway through the book, we just abandoned those characters. Mm-hmm. This is the only return to them that we get.
And Homegirl started listing people we haven't even heard of.
Yes! I made a note of that, too. I was like, and I noticed some new names, and I was like, why would you introduce new names at this point?
Mm-hmm. Don't come in.
I'll press pause.
With the overview.
Sorry, we're back. Tyree's nephew is with us tonight, and he had to use the washroom.
Let's not.
If you want to talk to him a little bit, we're going to record a bonus episode and post it to our Patreon later after this. So, just so you know.
And he's pretty lit, so.
He's not.
Yeah, he's great.
He's pretty lit.
I like him.
He's pretty lame.
You're pretty lame.
You're pretty lame.
You're the lamest.
I'm not. You're lamer than the lamest.
Oof.
But you are the lamest.
No, but you're lamer than the lamest.
That's a sick burn right there.
Alright, finish your overview.
Okay. At sunset, Edward carries Bella to a bench in a slightly wooded area.
Isn't he cradling her like a baby, too?
Yes, indeed.
Ugh.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry, there was a comment that he made that I really wanted to, like, comment on. That...
Make a note of it, because I want to hear it. And he carries her over there. He says Twilight, like, at least 2 more times. He's already said it before, tying the title back into the books so hard. And then... Oops. And Edward explains that he doesn't want Bella to miss out on any human experiences. And they kind of talk about how, like, Bella never would have come to this kind of thing if it weren't for Edward. And how he really is concerned that if she becomes a vampire too soon, that she won't... Or, like, really ever... She won't get to have a normal human life, and he doesn't want to rob her of that if there's no reason to. And there isn't. And so Bella tries to make a case for why her life would be better as a vampire. Edward calls this the twilight of her life, I think, at one point, or one of them does. And then Edward pretends to be about to change her, to, like, kind of test her to see if she would actually not flinch. And, of course, she doesn't. But... He's like, just kidding, did you think it would be that easy? And she says, a girl can dream. And then Edward promises to be with Bella forever, but doesn't promise to change her. Which sets up for the concerns of morality in the next book. Edward kisses Bella's neck, and then that's the end of the book.
Gag.
Why is he laughing in the bathroom? Hey! Oh, sorry. Stop laughing in the bathroom! Stop laughing in the bathroom! Stop laughing!
Oh my god.
This is a sick episode.
Oh my gosh.
So what can you be laughing at?
Yeah?
Oh, no.
Did he just ask me for help?
Yeah, hold on. I'll be right
You want
back.
to pause it?
Yeah. Okay. This is, wow. This is going great.
Yeah, sorry. I did. I knew he was going to be a nuisance, so I just didn't know it was going to be this hard.
No, we're good. Are you done with the overview?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I comment on the one thing that I wanted to comment
Please.
on?
Yeah.
When we were, for some reason, I don't know if we like brought up, I don't know, because you're talking about like Bella's life or something like that, or something about being young. Something came up. You said the age difference, I think. And then Bella makes a comment where she says she's acting like she's 5 or something like that, and then Edward's like, you don't look like it.
Yeah.
And
And that's such a weird... I don't know. It's not that weird, but it's just like... Let's just swerve around the whole age issue, because you're not going to address the fact that you're like 120 years old.
This is literally, I said, we know that Edward is a predator, but somehow this comment makes it worse.
Definitely.
It's like when someone asks like when someone asks older than you, asks how old you are, and then you like when you were saying like 16 or 7, or like you'll say like, oh, I'm like 17, and they're like, okay, but when do you turn 18? And that's like their next question. You're just like, that's gross.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the vibe that it gave me.
Definitely. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast yet, but I recently went on a cruise and I was in the Bahamas, and I was kind of like on a tour sort of situation, and this dude asked me how old I was, like the tour guide. It wasn't weird. He just asked me how old I was, and I told him I'm 21, and he said, well, you look 16, and then everyone laughed. I was like, oh.
Fucking rude.
Yeah.
The group just laughs.
And then also, at every bar on the ship, they would be like, you're 21?
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny, but, I mean...
I got that a lot, too, when I was 21.
Just do some hair flips and say, don't crack.
I guess. Anyway, sorry to get us all the way off topic. I'm having a hard time focusing lately. And also,
Stop.
we haven't talked about, like, Jessica or anyone since halfway through the book, and we also haven't had, like, our shit together since about then.
That sounds about right.
So we're like the little side characters, but who would be the side characters to in like their life?
What?
Because like Bella, like because we're saying we like sort of lost our crap since the side characters were like sort of eaten out of the book. So like I'm assuming that we are the side characters, but like in whose life, who will be the side characters to?
Everyone else. I don't know.
People who matter.
People who matter. Wow, this is getting sad real fast.
We matter.
Yeah.
Demetrius Herman's gonna
Speak for yourself.
All right.
Just kidding.
Demetrius Herman comes out of nowhere. Let me tell you something.
Oh, I have some crazy shit to tell you off the podcast.
Okay,
too.
bet.
Sorry.
Also, would it really have been that hard for Stephanie Meyer to just... I mean, since this epilogue it goes from... Hold on. It's really long, okay? It's a really long chapter. It's so long already. Would it have killed her to just toss in a little bit of a detail about, like, Bella's reception back into Forks and, like, how Jessica is and, like, if she got with Mike, really? You know?
Some regular life stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what's the
just
other girl's
pretend.
name?
Angela?
Yeah, and like how didn't they say she was dancing with somebody else?
Yeah, it wasn't with, like, who she was going to go
Eric.
with.
It was like Little Ben or something like that. And
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Little
And how
Ben?
Tyler showed up at Bella's house.
Ew. Okay, can I read this paragraph?
Yeah.
He considered for a moment and then changed direction, spinning me through the crowd to the back door of the gym. I caught a glimpse of Jessica and Mike dancing, staring at me curiously. Jessica waved and I smiled quickly. Angela was there too, looking blissfully happy in the arms of little Ben Cheney. She didn't look up from his eyes, a head lower than hers. Lee and Samantha, Lauren glaring at us with Connor. I could name every face that spiraled past me. And then we were outdoors in the cool dim light of the fading sunset.
She didn't give a damn about any of those people. Like
Nope.
and like before in the book, like and like she's like, yeah, I really don't know their names. I really don't. It's like I think her name is Lauren. Like saying bullcrap like that. I'm like, she didn't know anybody's name, and now she knows everybody.
Yeah, after not being there for what feels like months, but was actually only like 3 days. What, right?
Yeah.
Was it? No. Lots of time has passed at this point. Weeks at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she can actually bear weight on her leg.
Yeah,
But-
since she has to be in the hospital for a grip, too.
This description of little Ben Shenny hurts, and then him being a whole head shorter than his
Angela.
prom date is interesting because, like, we have at once this kind of imagery of, like, almost middle school, awkward school dance, and then we're gonna start talking about forever and marriage, like, in, like, 2 seconds.
Yeah, just give me a second.
It's just so funny, and, like, how did we ever buy into this?
Yeah, I don't know. Or still buying into it.
If we're being honest.
I was telling Tyree last night, though, I know this is getting away from Twilight, the first book, but yesterday while I was working, I just turned on Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 to have on in the background. And for whatever reason, yesterday I was kind of liking Vampire Bella.
More
I
than-
mean, there's a lot more to like in her character than regular
Yeah,
Bella.
but like, I even didn't care for Bella in general, even then. But yesterday, for some reason, just like, like the pre-battle scene where she like just like kind of her fierce like "don't fucking touch my daughter" type of thing is a better reaction, or like showing she cares for someone other than Edward. Maybe that's why I liked it, because it's like, I don't know.
That's out of
But I mean, it is her daughter, but she hasn't shown anything like that for anyone else.
Yeah. Wait, does she show a react? I can't remember. Does she show a reaction when Carlisle gets his head ripped off his shoulders?
Yeah. It's like, you know.
But that was all, I guess. I mean, that was in Alice's head, I get that, but it would have been Bella's genuine reaction if that had occurred. So,
Yeah.
okay. I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, but it sort of sucks because that scene isn't in the book, like, at all. So,
yeah,
like,
because that's why I remember. I don't think I ever finished reading Breaking Dawn, honestly.
Oh, really?
But I remember watching that movie with my friends who had finished reading it, and they were everyone in the theater at that time was like, "This did not happen," and everyone was like, "What?" You know, people were like actually talking in the theater, and then it all went. It was revealed like that it was just Alice's whatever, and everyone was like, "That's so lame. That's so cheap." But yeah, anyway.
like, literally, I said that anyone could, like, Bella, or, like, it sort of made me mad that, like, I think I've talked about this before, how, like, they split up Carlisle and Esme, and then they split up Jasper and Alice. Is her name Esme?
No! Are we going to go over
Dasani.
this every episode?
Just call her Dasani. Just call her
Dasani,
Dasani.
why?
No, Esme. Is her name, what?
Esme.
Esme. Resume.
No.
Esme.
Esme.
Okay. But, like, then they split up, like, Jasper and Alice. They didn't split up Rosalie and Emmett, but, like, Emmett's, like, a powerhouse, and I really don't... Was Rosalie there?
Where?
At the fight scene. I don't remember her.
Yeah, she was.
They I don't think they did any takeaway clips of her fighting at all.
Really, no.
Okay. But, like, I just wish, you know, maybe, either Bella or Edward died.
Probably an unpopular opinion.
Just, I mean, it's just a vision, right?
Yeah.
Actually... Sorry, my chest hurts.
Honestly, I still would have been more upset if, like, Carlisle died rather than, like, Bella.
Yeah. I'm like, I was like, this didn't happen in the book! Screaming. Yeah, if I would have been cool if, like, Carlisle and then Bella, like, died. Like, oh, damn. I guess we shouldn't have become a vampire.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I just thought I actually liked Bella for a half second.
That's good. Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
not going to shit on that at all.
But, yeah. So we should probably get back to this epilogue.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Did you guys already say more on... I was really bothered by Tyler just showing up at Bella's house.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That is straight up crazy. Like, one, and again, this was like chapter, 10? Because we haven't thought about this character or any other character since then.
Yeah.
But we found out that, like, Tyler was telling people that he was taking Bella to prom.
He didn't ask her. He said I'm going to try to find that right now.
No, he did ask her. She said no.
Oh.
But he went around still telling people that they were going to.
Yeah. I don't know if she said no or she was like,
No, she
going
said,
to be
I
out
think
of
she said
town.
no to the spring dance, and then he went around telling people that
Yeah, that's it. She said no to the spring dance with him, but he told people she was going to go to prom with him.
And
Why?
then,
that's crazy.
Based on what?
and
Right.
they probably didn't talk since then, and then he just had the audacity to be like, yeah, I'm going to show up at your effing house.
I mean, I'd like to make a case for him, I guess, in this small way. That's definitely crossing the line, but the fact that he almost killed her with his car, that, I feel like, if that happened in real life, and it was, like, someone that I went to school with, I would be like, that would have brought me closer to that person, I would have, like, I don't know, maybe talked to them more, or, like, felt the need to, like, get some kind of closure from that event. And Bella just basically curves him super hard,
Yeah.
and like she's just like, don't ever fucking talk to me. I'm with Edward. Like,
Yeah, I would feel like that is a more normal reaction, like what you said, with anybody other than Bella.
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
anybody would be more receptive to that.
They're like, oh, that itch, never mind.
I don't know like why he would think that any of this is appropriate, but like I understand his like like suddenly she's on his radar because of that event, and then he like really is in need of some kind of like.
Well, it seems so like extra delusional too, because when I think about my prom, the amount of planning that went into it.
Really?
You don't think so?
I didn't go to prom.
Like, what time will you guys meet up? Where are you going to go to dinner? Or who's going to be driving? Who are we going with?
I couldn't get.
They don't discuss anything, and he just shows up at her house.
Well, they also like didn't have a meal beforehand, which I know is kind of a big thing. Was for where we went to high school. I guess I didn't do that, but I also like barely went at all. I barely had a date, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that for me, but I get that for most people it is like that, and people are like people who do that are excited to do it and excited to plan it.
Yeah.
And I know Bella was like, yeah, I didn't want any, I wouldn't have gone if it weren't for you, but like he's going to lengths to make this a special event for her.
Okay, yeah. My biggest issue with this chapter is again with Bella. Her reaction to when she finds out they're going to prom is the most childish
Yeah.
and unattractive thing I think she does in this entire book.
And
Doesn't
like,
she
you're
cry?
beautiful. Yeah.
She cries because she's so angry and appalled that he would even think about taking her to prom.
Yeah, she's like, doesn't he know me at all?
Yeah. Like she's going on and on about how unhappy she is. It's like a full page and a half of her just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the design of your little things on your arm.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty lit.
But, yeah, she's angry crying about going to prom. Because the way she looks at it is she's seeing it as, like, Edward subjecting her to something, rather than, like, he genuinely wants to go with her and enjoy this with her and make sure she enjoys these things.
Right.
And, like, no, she sees it as, like, some sort of punishment.
Yeah.
Naturally, that's
but
not the way anything of it is.
Bella from like chapter 3 of this book would have absolutely flipped if Edward wanted to go to prom with her, right? Don't you think?
Probably.
Yeah,
She would have been
go
like,
because-
hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
No, she would go because he wanted to go. That's it, I think.
Yeah.
But like now that they're together and like she's like, he knows me better. He knows that I wouldn't want to go. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something about that really doesn't sit right with me either.
Yeah, you
Because
never
it's
put
like
them
you
on.
said, like he makes a huge effort to make this special and like make sure she's experiencing all these things, because I think he knows in the back of his mind how this is all going to turn out. Like she's going to be a vampire, she's going to get her way.
Yeah.
So while she's still human, he wants her to. I mean, I feel like this is kind of pushing her to be out there and kind of still connect with normal people and maybe her old friends, even though they're not talking to him, but to still hold on to that rather than just be in this fantasy land with him all the time.
Yeah. And that's huge. He kind of says that, and let me try to find that section with the whole Twilight of Life thing. I think it's an ending that sets up pretty well for the next book, because I think, I forget exactly, but I think in new moon, she right away starts dreaming about, he promises I'll be with you forever, but she's thinking, well, what does that mean? Because I'm going to be like an old woman and you're going to look like my grandkid. Like we're not going to be lovers at that point. You know?
Edward likes getting freaky with the young and the old.
Which is...
Yikes.
Yes, kink shaming is my kink, but please stop.
He's like, yeah, this is my granny. She's 86, but I'm still clapping those cheeks.
Okay.
You best believe the fanfic I'm writing is going to have clap those cheeks at least 20 times in it.
I'll allow clap those cheeks, but like...
Also daddy.
No. Thank you for coming to this episode of...
Yeah.
Wait, were you going to bring something up?
I think so, but I don't remember now.
What were we talking about before?
Oh, sorry. No, I have another issue.
Yeah, just do that.
Rosalie's dress. Do you guys
Describe it
remember
now.
it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like red, tight to her skin, like some like, ruffles.
It's
and
on
stuff.
page 487. If you have my book there, Maya, and you can find it to read the description.
Yes.
It is not appropriate for a high school dance.
Absolutely not.
She's out here bodying
Read that
these
description.
Okay. I'm going to read the whole paragraph.
Go for it.
I look at the dance floor. A wide gap had formed in the center of the floor where two couples whirled gracefully. The other dancers pressed to the side of the room to give them space. No one wanted to stand in contrast with such radiance. Emmett and Jasper were intimidating and flawless in classic tuxedos. Alice was striking in a black satin dress with geometric cutouts that bared large triangles of her snowy white skin. And Rosalie was... ... Well, Rosalie. She was beyond belief. Her vivid scarlet dress was backless, tight to her calves, where it flared into a wide ruffled train. What? That doesn't make sense.
A train.
It sounds like she's like a gala or something.
With a neckline that plunged to her waist.
A neckline that goes to her waist. It's also backless.
Yeah.
How does the architecture of that dress work?
It goes
Is it
around
titties?
her neck, I guess.
Oh, I thought it was like one of those dresses where it's like it covers the titties, and then it's like a deep V, and then like no back. Here, I'll draw. Can I?
Yeah, that might be what it is, but does that not strike anyone as yikes for high school?
Very yikes,
Yeah.
Absolutely not appropriate. How can something be tight to your calves and have a train? Also, Bella ends the paragraph by saying, I pitied every girl in the room, myself included.
Well, we know that, Bella.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeet.
I think I could just Google it.
No, I want to draw a picture.
In the book, do they come to prom too? I mean,
No,
what am I saying?
I don't think the other Collins are at prom.
They just feel way too old for that.
Belly button.
Yeah.
Titties like there. Yeah, I messed that up.
It's just...
It's fine.
It's a lot.
Whoa.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Because they also mention, for, like, the Cullens, like, wanting to lay low,
Yeah.
not be too flashy.
They do
They
all the
mention
flashy
Rosalie's, like, is it Mercedes? Red Mercedes convertible in the parking lot at the beginning of this chapter. Like, that's not going to stick out. And then no one else is dancing because they're all dancing flawlessly in their, like, immaculate outfits that are out of this world for high school prom and forks. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, chill out. That's wow. Is that dot supposed to be her belly button?
Yeah.
That's
really
really
low.
high up. It's like straight up under her titty. Now she has two.
That's what my belly button
No.
looks like.
So we're gonna post this drawing to our Instagram.
Well,
This is going to be the announcement for tonight's episode.
like a Rosalie.
Yeah, Tyree is currently drawing Rosalie in her prom dress.
Well, I made her upper body too thin.
Do you want me to get my crayons?
Yes.
I've got a 64-pack, bitch.
That's pretty
With the
crazy.
sharpener?
Actually, we'll do it at the end. I don't want to... Bodhi seems to be doing okay right now.
Yeah.
I forgot.
And your nephew. This is wild.
You could have left without. You could have just not mentioned him. Maybe let me get rid of her top part and just start with the dress.
Okay.
Anyway. What else you got, Maya?
All my notes were in the book that I left, but
Oh. I guess Jacob. I said so. Jacob becomes like cracked out, and I could see your girl once he's like on werewolf testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of like a question, and then because I was like, shy Jacob really doesn't exist. I don't think he really like. He's shy in Twilight. I'll give him that. But like as soon as he's like in, even while they're friends and stuff, he's not shy. I don't think. I don't know. It just
he's
seems
like comfortable.
Yeah.
He's not like, I wouldn't say he's like an extrovert, but he's just like very comfortable and low key.
I like that characterization of him a lot better.
Yeah, I do too.
There was a scene a long time ago. I forget exactly when it happens, but I think Bella has just come home from like a date with Edward or something, and Billy and Jacob are like standing in the rain waiting for her to let them in her house, which is super weird.
Yeah.
And then she's super rude to Billy, and Billy sends Jacob like out into the rain to like look for something that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And aside from being like, yeah, it's not in the car, Jacob doesn't say anything this whole time, and it's like really awkward for him, and it's like, why did he get dragged along in this, you know?
Yeah.
And that was like the peak of awkwardness, but it's still, it seems like his most confident moment was actually his first like appearance at I'm not going to say it, the beach scene.
Oh yeah. No push.
Yeah, that one.
Stop.
Yeah, yikes, but from there it seems like he appears more and more young to me. And like their age difference is like super huge and relevant here. Or at least their like maturity gap. I don't know how old he is or how old she is. Honestly.
A year younger.
Yeah,
That's all? A year?
Yeah.
He's a year younger. But she's also supposed to be, what, 16 here? 17?
17.
17. So he's 16. Mm-hmm. So I think she's writing him a little younger than
Oh, yeah.
what he actually would be. Maybe she does that for, like, the drastic change that he's a man once he's... Because, like, in New Moon, the movie, the first time you see Jacob is when they roll up to school and it's like, da-na-na, that music, and he turns around and he has his hair cut and the muscles, and he's got looking all smoldery.
The tight brown t-shirt.
With his motorcycle.
Classic.
He still could have got it, though.
I mean, absolutely.
He could get it. Yeah. For sure, but...
Wow. Little masculine man body.
Don't erase anything. It's great the way it is.
It's not! Cut to the waist.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird situation.
Oh, and okay. And then Edward's reaction after Jacob comes back. And then this was like the corniest thing he like ever said. I put like vomit next to it. When this isn't word for word, but he basically says he insulted you by calling you pretty. You're beyond beautiful tonight. And like this that, I was just like, it is not that deep. And he said it was like an insult to him and himself. And I'm to him and herself. And I was just like that.
That just reads as pure jealousy for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not pretty. You're beautiful.
Ugh.
I'm like, chill out.
If a guy I dated ever said that to me, I react a lot better to insults than I do compliments.
I think everyone does.
Yeah. I would rather like my boyfriend be like, "You smacked," or like, "You look."
If someone said that to me, I'd be like, "Okay, goodbye."
Or like if you come home from work and they'd be like, "Wow, you look smacked right now," I'd be like, "Yeah, I know." But if you tried to be like, "Wow, you look really beautiful tonight," I'd be like, "Shut the fuck up." Stop.
No, I don't know.
Very ick.
I'm like, someone called me smacked. I'm like, yeah, but you're going out with me, so has the poor lapse in judgment?
Yeah, that's a really excellent comeback. Truthfully.
I'm pretty good at them. In my head.
My mom is not married to my dad anymore, but when they were married, he would like do some FS, like hardcore, and then she would be like, "Why are you doing that?" And he would say, "You married it." That was really his comeback, so.
Yikes.
Wasn't there a thing going around, like, when the guy was just like, like a girl going, like, "That's why your D's small," and then he was like, "But I still hit it, though." And it was like, that was like the cat, like, it was like to everything. Every comeback, that's what they would say. The dude would say anyway.
I saw this tweet today. That was like, or I think it was on Instagram or whatever. And
it was a tweet that was put on Instagram.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And it was like, guys be finishing in 45 seconds and have the audacity to ask you if you came. And it's like, yeah, I came to the wrong house.
The wrong dick appointment.
Yikes.
Love it.
Men really have no idea.
Nope, they're fucking clueless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chastity belt.
Tyree, also clueless. Just kidding. No.
Me. Yeah, that was my toe.
Stop touching me with your feet.
Cries.
Today at work, I was like turning around, and Tyree just goes, "You're doing great, sweetie." And I turn around, and I'm just like, and she's like, "Stop! What are you doing?"
We started talking about like I said, imagine like having a kid that you like just adopted, and they start crying. You're like, whoa, stop that!
Yeet.
Yeah, we got into like a
Weird.
yeah.
So I don't have a lot more to say about like the details of this chapter.
Yeah.
But I have a lot to say of just afterthoughts of the whole book.
Let's hear
You
that.
want to do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, just for like some funsies, I also looked up some like discussion questions
Yes.
of because apparently some people do Twilight as like essays and shit in school.
Really?
Yeah. Weird.
That for what grade?
I'm assuming high school
High school.
I could see it.
because there are some like religious undertones and stuff like that. So if people were to go really deep into that, or you could go like really basic. But I have things on both sides of that. I have really, really basic questions.
Let's hear it. I want to
So
know.
first of all, to start this out, at the end of book 1, what team are you? Tyree.
I'm team no one with Bella.
Okay.
I don't think that Bella and Edward have a very healthy relationship. I think Bella needs some therapy, and I understand why he steps away from the relationship in New Moon, but I also have absolutely no reason to be team Jacob at this point either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Billy has no relevance in this book at all.
Yeah.
Very little. He's just Billy's messenger, and doesn't even know what part he will play.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
I'm team Mike the dog.
I'm team Charlie's doing great, and if he can just get Bella into therapy, she would be a lot better off.
Yeah.
Real team.
What about you?
I'm team Edward in the terms of I would really love it if he just dissed Bella and like we could explore more of his world
Yeah.
and just him.
Yeah. He's like, actually, you're
So.
not the one for me. I got a blast.
I agree that I think their relationships a little unhealthy, but I think his kind of internal struggles kind of interesting.
I think so too, and enough of his internal world has been revealed at this point. For me, I have a lot more interest for him and sympathy for him than I did in the beginning of the book, because it seemed like his anger was random and his actions were random. But now I think if I went back and read that, I would be like, okay, I get why this is happening.
Yeah.
So I see that. I think his character development is really interesting throughout this book, and that's really the only character that develops that much.
Yeah. I
So.
think that's why I might be most like connected to him, but
I'm team Alice.
so I just wanted to get that out of the way. But I think there's a lot of like big underlying themes throughout the book. And I looked up some like other people's opinions too, and I found this really crazy article. And this is literally like the heading of this article. The Twilight Saga is a story about love and vampires and family and abstinence and racism. Also, the Mormon faith and orphans in a really weird way.
Okay, let's hear that. Racism, like...
Okay, so I think this is kind of a stretch. So they were saying it's racist because the Cullens are the symbol of beauty and they're white. So they're supposed to be seen as pure. And they said the dark-skinned people are bad, which would be the werewolves. But I don't think that they're painted to be bad in this book. Mm-mm. They're hardly discussed.
No, they're hardly discussed, and if the small discussion of them that we do get paints them as the protectors of the human race.
Right.
At least that's how I read it.
Right. And it says all the talk of their, like, white, beautiful skin and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, there's black vampires, too. There's vampires all around the world. And it's like...
Okay, and my thing, going back, and even if, let's say it was about race, Edward and the Cullens themselves, they literally describe themselves as, like, monsters all the time. So, like, it wouldn't be... I'm not understanding how, it would be considered racist at all. Like, well, I don't know. That's just... I had something bigger in my head, but then it didn't come out that big.
Well,
but, like,
it's Bella putting this, like, perfection... Or, like, putting them on this pedestal. Like, they're the perfect...
Yeah.
Whatever. But, like, they themselves don't view themselves as, like, superior.
Yeah.
They see themselves, like you said, as monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they shouldn't exist.
Yeah, and she... I don't know.
So,
that was way too much. That was a big boy stretch. But
yeah, so I didn't know about that one. It looked
Cheap.
like this person was trying to make some problems out of the book. Because they also said it attacks the Mormon faith.
How?
I didn't even want to read that. It was like 5 pages long.
oh yeah, keep that in the trash.
And orphans in a really weird way. And it brings up that not only like about how the Cullens are viewed as orphans or foster kids or whatever, but how Bella's kind of depicted as an orphan, but like kind of puts herself in that way. And Edward is the father figure that Bella never had.
That's disgusting.
And all of the
look
like evidence, or like where Edward treats Bella as a child, like just supports that more.
And that really happens. I can think of 2 specific instances where...
Well, it says early in the book he calls her an insignificant little girl. He calls her a little coward. He says silly Bella. Always like treats her like she's clumsy and unlucky and is always carrying her around. And so someone thinks it's a weird daddy complex.
Disgusting.
I can see it.
Can you stop saying that though? Can we just say weird D complex?
Okay, that's not better.
That doesn't work either.
Or like father maybe?
Finding a dad figure.
Yeah, it's better. Just not.
So I really hated that too. But those were some of the things I found. But what I think some of the biggest themes, obviously I think this can be a theme in almost every book, arguably. Just like good versus evil. What is good? What is evil?
That's
is it black and
complicated
white?
here. Yeah.
Black and white. Black and white. Is it? Yeah. And I think that this book kind of really delves into it isn't black and white. There's a lot of gray area in who's good, who's evil, and things like that. I also think another big theme is temptation.
Oh, definitely.
On all sides. Bella's tempted to get her cheeks clapped by...
She is, but don't, it's not explicit. I kind of wish it was a little bit more explicit. And she got, like, denied, you know?
Stop taking your shirt off.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that part?
Not tonight. Oh, I hate that.
I would straight up just have to leave. I'd be like, oh, I misunderstood.
And then, like, the fact that he had the audacity to propose afterwards.
I know. Yeah, shout out to Bella in Eclipse where they're trying to get freaky and she tries to take her shirt off and Edward says, stop.
Stop.
Stonks.
Stop. Yeah, so there's a lot of temptation. And then I'd say another big one is like the idea of fate or destiny. How much of this is like Bella's free will or free agency? How much is this like this was in the cards for her from the beginning?
I want that to be pushed more.
Yeah.
That's that specifically, temptation and destiny, because you get those ideas played with a lot. Temptation, obviously, mostly for Edward, probably in this book, but also, damn, I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens.
About how it went more into like destiny.
Yes.
And temptation.
Okay, so for the werewolves, they have imprinting and stuff, but I wish that there was like something about Alice having a vision or something that like makes this inevitable for them to be together. But like, it could be cooler. Like she could have this vision like that they're gonna end up together, and then them like really struggle to get along or something like that, and mutually break up for a while instead of be abandoned.
Mellow what?
I'll pause real quick. All right, we're back.
It's stressing me out.
All right, what were you saying?
Destiny werewolves imprinting.
Yeah, so since vampires don't get that, I feel like there should be something more to complicate their relationship. And there is this, I mean, you get it played with that vampires draw humans in, and so you're thinking maybe on some level like, oh, this doesn't seem like Bella's choice, but it could be pushed further. Like there could be something that Bella really doesn't like about him, yet she's attracted to him. And like they, as the books go on, they work through that.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's nothing that like that.
Or the issues that they do have, where I guess this comes to later on, where like she wants to hang out with Jacob, but Edward prevents her. Like them actually working through those things,
right?
Rather than Bella just being like, "Well, fuck you, I'm out. I'm going to see Jacob anyway."
Like her getting over, or them working through him being like very controlling and very jealous, like them working through that.
Yeah, that would be a good thing, but they don't.
Bella having zero self-preservation.
Which he mentioned, like he like when like in the chapter he like sort of he's like sad about it, how she was like so willing to like throw her life away, and I'm like, I don't know, a lot of things they need to talk through each other about. We'll talk about, and they just don't.
So I don't know. I thought those were some of the themes and whatever, but I think another big thing that stuck with me in this book are kind of the inconsistencies in the vampire lore, which we've talked about in the chapters that it's popped up. But things like how can Jasper control Bella's emotions, but Edward can't read her mind, and she's also immune to other vampire powers. But not all. But not all. That's not very clear.
Like, I kind of even feel like if she's a shield, Alice shouldn't be able to see her future.
Yeah, how can Alice see her future? Just, like, weird things like that. That are a little inconsistent and aren't very well explained. But I think could be a very interesting story piece if they were. You know?
Definitely. Or if her, like, power was something else.
Like, anything else?
And, like, maybe Edward couldn't read her mind because of that power, or because there's like some equivalent for vampires of imprinting, and like you can't read the mind of the person you imprinted on, or something, something like that. I
sort of wish, like with Bella's power, like because it says like, you know how Edward's not able to read her thoughts, but it also would make her. Another reason why like Edward becomes more attracted to her is because like she was able to resist the vampire pull thing, like so like as far as them being like prey, or and like he's just like, yeah, you're attracted to me, like come like see me, and she's just like, you're a dick. And he's like, oh.
That would have been such a much more interesting story with much more interesting characters.
Stephanie just misses out on so many things. Like she could, and then she's just like, no, I want them to be automatically attracted and married by the second book. Well, like talking about marriage in the second book, even though Homeboy has been gone for like months.
I think for the age group, though, I don't think at that age we really understood kind of those deeper levels of...
Oh, definitely not.
So I think for who she was going after, it was like, oh my god, they met and it's fate and they're going to get married, but there's also another sexy dog boy. Like, that's what we're into, you know?
Sexy dog boy. So you've got Mike, regular dog boy, and then Jacob, sexy dog boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that going in your fanfic? Sexy dogs?
Tune in 3 weeks from now.
That makes me want to kill myself.
Well, I need a 2 weeks notice.
No!
Okay.
Okay. I'll put in my 2 weeks notice. No.
And then I just said wanting more detailed backstory on things.
Like yeah, especially with Alice.
I would have read like a 600-page. Well, this is what, 500?
Just about, yeah.
I know,
just a few pages.
She could have made it like Harry Potter big, and I would have read it if it just had like a lot more detailed things about the relationships and the character development and the vampire stuff.
I mean, this could have been the end of Bella and Edward's story, and then we could have just like branched off into Alice. Like, I didn't have to hear anymore. We already knew what route this was going to take.
Literally, you could take the last line from Breaking Dawn and replace it here in this book, and like they just live happily ever after.
Yeah.
What? How does that one end? I don't know.
They enjoyed their little piece of forever, or something.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, just changed like the last like this actually like instead of going to prom, him actually turning her into a vampire.
Yeah.
Like resume isn't really necessary.
I'm gonna yeet myself.
Resume really isn't really necessary. Any of this. So like,
So funny.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I understand like the Volturi and all that crap, but that was also just like randomly added in, like a little like you don't really see them until like Eclipse, don't you?
Who?
The Volturi.
No,
Do you
they're
see
New
them?
Moon.
Are they really?
Yeah, remember Edward goes to them to be like,
Oh yeah.
kill me.
Yeah, at the end.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, yeet me, please. Thank you.
Yeet me, please. Shoot me.
That little boy is funny. But I don't know. They could have just like left without all of that, or like just like combine this all into one book, but like make the like. Do you like those books that have like it'll just like instead of like a chapter name, it'll just have like what day it is, like the date, and then keep going.
Yeah.
Like they could have done something like that. So like we could have had like a realistic like time thing instead of everything happening over the span of like 2 weeks. But you know.
So, like I said, I was looking up discussion questions and topics and whatever, but I found like a very, I would say either like middle school level or very basic high school level questions. I thought would just be fun to run through and just see what your guys' answers would be. I think they're supposed to be essay questions, but they're like, some of them could just be like, yeah.
Yes, and here's why.
All right, ready?
Yes.
1.
2.
No.
Yes.
Maybe.
I quit.
Me too.
Great. Okay, 1. Should Bella become a vampire?
No. Yes and no. Yes, because she needs to be like stop being a little weak itch and be able to fight for herself.
Wouldn't it be a much more interesting character development process if instead of getting that strength by becoming a vampire, she got that strength by like going to therapy?
Getting help?
Yeah, like learning, like recognizing her like toxicity in terms of having zero self-preservation, having someone be like, I'm a scary vampire like designed to drink your blood, and her being like, will you kiss me now? You know, like,
I trust you.
Or like her
I'm not
almost
scared.
like codependent
Yes.
behavior on Edward, but also kind of pushes everyone else away.
Right, yes, that like,
It's so weird.
and so if she had like realized that and worked through that, then maybe she can become a vampire, but until then, I think no. And also there's like, she needs to hear what other people are saying. Like, they didn't want to give up their lives. It's really not pleasant to be a vampire. Why are you doing this when you're not on your deathbed? You have your parents are alive. You have the potential to have all these relationships at school and have all these experiences. Why don't you want these experiences? You're not going to get them So
Like, you
and
have to
she's just
abandon
like,
all
I
your
don't
family.
want that. I just want to fuck Edward forever. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Like, she's so willing to abandon her family, which,
Her
like...
family, her mom and her dad.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, as soon as I shoot you a vampire, you cannot have contact with them anymore. And she was like, great.
Say less.
Where do I sign up?
Throughout this book, she has put this burden of, like, caring for them on her own back. And then suddenly she's like, I'm done. I'm ready to get my cheeks clapped.
So, no parents equals vampire dick? Got it.
Say less.
All right. Question 2. Do you think Edward and Bella have a perfect relationship?
Absolutely not.
No.
Next.
Question 3. Oh, that's a stupid question.
What is it, though?
Edward has several opportunities to turn Bella into a vampire. Did he make the right choice? It's like,
Asked and answered.
yeah. I like this one. How would the story have changed if Edward weren't attractive?
his
Yes.
brimstone skin. Like, it's just-
And how much of the relationship is based off Bella being attracted to him?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Because all of it.
She was an
either.
ugly vampire.
she was just like, it's like all the other clones were cute, but he was smacked. The most smacked of them all.
Then that, if that were the case, then you do get into a discussion of destiny a little bit more, maybe, and then Bella is even more fucked up in her presentation, and like it's even clearer that she needs therapy.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to say it?
I feel like it would have been funny if, like, after, like, she says, I don't care, you're a vampire, this, that, and the third. And then she goes to therapy, and she comes back, she's like, yeah, my initial response was not correct. I'm actually terrified now of you, and the fact that you said that you wanted to kill me on multiple occasions, so I'm just gonna... Got a blast, you know?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I sort of went back to the first question, but... My bad.
Let's see. How would Twilight be different if Bella was the vampire and Edward was the human?
Isn't that a thing in Life and Death? I think is.
I think
that.
it is switched around.
I know. I hear that it's exactly the same.
Weird.
But would Edward be as pressed as Bella was? Like, if the personalities were the same?
I feel like... No. I feel like the girl is always going to be portrayed crazier than the guy.
Which is funny because it's literally never that way in real life.
Right.
And men they completely lack self-awareness. Zero emotional control, never taught that. And women are, hit in the face every day with this stereotype of being crazy and, like, having to combat that with being as put together as possible and, like, shoving down your emotions, actually. At the, because people are either going to call you a bitch because you're crying or a bitch because you're not crying.
Yeah.
So that's really such an interesting falsehood to me.
Yeah.
That's a weird stereotype because it's literally never like that.
Never.
Except when someone's like legit mentally ill and like.
I mean, there are crazy women out there for sure.
Yeah.
But there, like you said, there's usually something else going on. Mental illness, drugs,
yeah.
some shit like that. But
Bella codependency.
usually, yeah. So, I think that, I don't know, I feel like the dynamic would be a little different, but I don't know exactly how it would be.
But I was like,
Yeah.
okay, but with Edward being, because if Edward was never a vampire and he was born in the age that Bella was, and they were together, do you think he would have the same reactions as her? Like, would she be like, yeah, when like he like finds out that she's a vampire? Do you think, because I think he had self-preservation when he was younger, and he was saying, I was supposed to die when I was supposed to die, and this and third, you should value your life. Would he still have those same values when he was human? Or is
Maybe
that just
not.
like learned from when he was a vampire, realizing that life is actually precious?
That's a really good question. I think probably he wouldn't, because usually in life we are blind to these things until they are like relevant to us personally often. So I think that's a good point. And without this like mystical good smellingness of Bella, like what is his attraction to her ever? If she's like a super pretty girl in school, then maybe at best he would be like another Mike.
Okay.
I think.
I wish Bella would call.
I wish Bella wouldn't call.
Maybe I should call Bella.
Maybe I should call Bella and hang up. Hates us.
Just took me a hot second to realize what you were referencing.
We're quoting Twilight. Is Bella really not afraid of Edward, or is she just saying that? I really think she's not.
I don't think she has the depth to be afraid of it.
I don't either. So,
Like she's
There we
like she's like scared. She was scared of the thugs in the alleyway, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm literally a murderer, and I've thought about killing you multiple times.
Ooh,
I don't care.
I do not care.
I trust
not
you."
care. It does not matter.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's like, "Yeah, I wanted to kill you several times. I trust you." Like someone tells me they're like, "Yeah, I've thought about killing you like multiple times." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Word?
no." I would start sprinting.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think Stephanie Meyer portrays high school students accurately?
No.
No.
Like Mike, Tyler, Eric, Jessica, Angela, so on and so forth.
I think they're all a little bit too young.
Yeah. but we're also not given enough of them to
Really make a good assessment.
I mean, I feel like everyone in this book is shitty in their own right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Except Alice and Carlisle.
Yeah.
And Esme. Or Esme, maybe.
No.
Esme.
No.
I don't know, because like when I was in high school, everyone was sort of like to themselves, and it was like you had friends, you had your friend groups. There was the weird courtyard kids, and then there was just like the people who were just like, look, I'm literally just here to learn and get my grades done, like up and out. I was never caught up in like anything like as petty as like between boys and stuff like that. Well, obviously, because I was always just like
chastity belt.
Yeah,
like, you've always been chastity belt for like from jump.
not from jump, but like it was just like it was around like middle school, and I was just like,
gotcha.
Nope.
Fair.
All right. I feel like we can all, I don't know. I guess this could be a little bit more of a complex question, but on the surface, I think we would all agree. Is Bella a strong or weak character?
Weak.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I thought. And lastly, if you were a vampire, what would your special power be?
Can we like say that for each other? Because I don't know that I could say that about myself.
Yeah. All right.
What would Tyrese be?
Super pester. I can annoy people to give me whatever I want.
You can annoy people into doing whatever you want?
Yeah.
I could believe that. I feel like it would be some, like, sonic sound.
I was thinking that one too. Because you soundboard. I can imitate any sound.
Because, like, sometimes when you're singing in the kitchen, you can just hit a decimal that's just, like, very piercing to me. Not in, like, a mean way, but just, like, it's so loud, I don't know how you're able to do it.
Yeah, I could be like a soundboard. I can imitate any sound.
Or also, I think this is a thing that exists in a later book, but someone has the ability to, like, give people, like, hallucinations, basically, and make them feel like they're somewhere else. I feel like that could be a good power for you, too.
Thank you.
All right, Maya.
Don't make that face.
I feel like you would have a power similar to Jasper's.
You think?
Something to do with people's emotions.
Maybe, yeah. I could see it.
Yeah, I feel like that would fit you well.
No, I have to brew on this. Give me a second. I'll come back. Come back to me.
Well, you're the only one here, so...
No.
What would you want it to be?
I don't know. In terms of, like, superpowers in general, I think teleportation would be lit, but I feel like that's a little bit out of the scope of what vampires in this universe are capable of. I feel like controlling emotion is cool. I always dismiss Jasper's power as being, like, really weak and, like, who cares? That's barely a power. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why I thought that when I was younger.
I think because they downplay it.
I feel like...
In the movies, I think they do.
I feel like a really good power for you would be, like, just being omniscient.
Yeah. That
Being
would be
what?
pretty lit.
Omniscient.
Like, Edward's power, but, like, I know what's going on everywhere. So, like, all three powers in one. Alice, Jasper, Jacob.
That'd be wild.
Ugh. Too many names in this
I
goddamn
know.
book.
There really are.
Yeah. Okay, what would Hannah's be? Like, I think...
Professional nutcase.
What is it called when you, like, are able to compel someone to do something? Like, super
Mind
persuasive.
control?
Manipulate?
Mind control.
I thought mind control, like, that was my first thing when I thought, I'm like, you would be good. I was like, I thought mind control would be a good one, but,
And, like, super coordination. Like, mind controlling huge groups of people to, like, carry things out.
managing.
Damn it!
I feel like taking every goddamn, like, quiz. Like, what should I do with my life? Be a manager. Fuck!
Really? When you take those tests, what do you get?
I haven't taken one.
We should make you take one and talk about it.
Literally, I think I called Garrett one time because I was so upset by my results. What are those called again?
Aptitude tests?
Aptitude tests. I took 5 in a row.
And they
All
all
of
say
them.
manager?
No, CEO.
Oh.
Like, how the hell am I supposed to walk into a company? Hi, I'd like to apply to be your CEO.
Right.
Like,
I think that means start your own shit, right?
I don't have
We
shit
told
to
you
start.
there is
Yes,
a
you
place
do.
to rent across the way, and we could
I mean, that's
That
definitely
requires money.
it does, but
Propaganda.
also a podcast network would be a good like.
I really
side
want to do
business.
that, yeah.
and then maybe that could grow into a full time thing.
Yeah, I when we started this podcast, I mean, we have a really fun time doing this one, but I, spoke with other friends of mine and always wanted to start more because I like just talking with people and doing stuff, and I felt like we could each have our own little spin-off. And I'd still like to do that in the future and have a little network of podcasts, but if any of you want to hear other podcasts from us, let us know. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about or things you're interested in. Maybe it's something we're interested in. We can,
Yeah, get in there.
do something.
I just had like an out of body experience.
Why?
I just left my body thinking about the fact that just like how we've all by basically random chance gotten to know each other so well that we just read Twilight together and every week made a podcast about what we read. That's just super. I feel like this is something people say in like YouTube videos and like in podcasts and things like that, but like thank you guys so much for like giving us a reason to do this because this is just absolutely crazy to me.
I was really reflective of our friendship today when we were in the kitchen talking about TMG and all that, and talking to Tim because I low key had it on speaker and we were just talking about how excited I was like, yeah, gang hangout, and yeah,
You had it on speaker?
low key. I took it off after we started talking about it, but then he knew what we were talking about by the end of the time, by the end of the conversation because he asked.
Another question for our listeners. Have you guessed what we do? Can you guess? Just curious.
But he was like, because I had it on speaker initially, and then you said like something about TMG, and then I took it off speaker, and then I was like so excited the entire time. It was like, because I was like, I like walked away, but like every time I'm like doing something, if I'm not working, he's not working, so which is really weird. But I was like,
then
on
nothing would get done.
Exactly.
rude. But it was just like I was on the phone, and it was like he was like sort of like following me around to see, like he was like, because he was like, what are you guys talking about? And I was just like,
Get away!
mind your business. I'm like, do I need to go outside? It's too cold for me to go outside. So like, but yeah, but then he ended up asking what you were calling about, and I was just like, we're gonna go see Tiny Meat Gang. And then I was just like, I was like, and he's like, yeah. And then I was like, you're not really into them though. And he was like, no. And then I was like, all right. And then I was, I said, I think it's like a concert thing. So I was like, and then he was like, oh yeah, I don't know any of their music. And then I was like, yeah. And then I was trying to like sort of like push away from the fact that like he wasn't invited, but because I was like, yeah, I'll send it to the group chat, and he was just like, the group chat that we still added him in. But
So am I gonna have to edit all this out, or like?
no, he was there for that. He knows what's going on.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Forgot we were recording for a hot second.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there go all the positive feelings.
My bad. But,
Damn it, Tyree.
But I was reflecting on like how close we've gotten over like how our little, I was going to say foursome, yikes. How our little gang is like came together.
You guys are my gang.
Can I
Alright.
tell you one story really quick right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I take a Chinese class. I might have mentioned it on the podcast before, maybe not. Kind of weird. My Chinese teacher sometimes doesn't know how to translate things exactly because at this point, or like at a high enough level where things are pretty, like culturally, the context is important and like translating things can be hard because there's not like a one-to-one exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And today we were talking about the term like a third wheel. Like on a date, if there are two people who are like clearly interested in each other and you've like invited yourself or like you're in that situation for some reason, that's called being a third wheel in English, but in Chinese it translates to a light bulb. And so she started with that part. She was like, what do you call this in English? And then she started explaining it in Chinese, and we were like, oh yeah, that's what like a third wheel. And she was like, but then what's a tricycle? And I was like, don't say that.
What's a tricycle?
Look that Urban Dictionary at.
What's a
Also
tricycle?
look up train.
I know what a train is. But,
Okay,
like,
then
what's
just apply it to the other thing with wheels, okay? Just
I'm just gonna look it up.
let's wrap this up
Jesus,
before
from
we
Chastity
really
Yeah.
set this on fire.
Yes. Okay, so huge milestone. Thanks everyone for listening. This has been Twilight.
Yeah, we are done with the first book. We
The
are
final
not,
episode.
No, not the final episode. Stop saying that. We will be back next week. But I don't know if we said this in the last episode or the episode before that, but we're not going to be jumping into New Moon right away. We are going to take a 3-episode break before we start New Moon, but it will still be Twilight related, I promise you.
Just some juicy surprises.
Yeah. So, we, I guess it's not a surprise, I did say it before, but we will be reading fan fictions in different styles and stuff. But next week, we're going to focus on some really good ones that we find. Some pretty solid ones. And if you guys have any,
send them in.
Yeah, please send them in, because we're going to have to read a bunch to find ones we like.
And the best way to do that would be either to email us at mytwilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram, just GM us. It's My Twilight Fantasy.
Instagram at My Twilight Fantasy, yeah.
Okay, yes.
And yeah, like you said, I'm at twilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com. Send us those stories. That'd be really helpful. But yeah, I'm proud of us, guys. We finished the book.
Yeah, me
We're
too.
swole.
Yeah.
I remember our first episode, thinking back to that.
Yeah. Also share your thoughts of the whole book if you're reading along with us, too. We'd love to hear
If
those.
you're ripping along, tell us what pod system you have.
Yeah. Share us with your friends, family, your dog, whatever.
Dog's gonna howl at the little background scratching
Yeah.
noise.
Now you
But-
can hear Mello yelling in the background.
Really? Come on.
What
Well, this has been a dumpster fire of an episode, but we did it.
else is new?
What else is new? We are dumpster fire human beings.
And that's the real tea.
I'm a dump truck.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. And with that,
Peace
Love.
in Twilight.
Goodbye.
Bye.